Hey, dude. Hey, Eli. How's it going, guys? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your heads? I'm just sending out the invites and whatnot. There we go. All right. So, how you guys doing? How has the week been? Mine has been mine's been all right, I guess. I haven't really done a whole lot. I went to the largest buffet in the continental United States. It is located in um, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It is called Shady Maple Smorgasbord. And every time I say that word, the Swedish chef goes in my head. Yes, it was, Eli. It was very nice, um, as buffets go. The food was very good. I had a few things I'd never tried before. One was, well, I can only think of one right now. Was what was it called? It was corn, but it wasn't baked corn, dried corn. It was dried corn. Um, the uh, the dried corn was different. It was, of course, dried corn, and then it was cooked. It had like you could taste the brown sugar, but it was almost like candied yams, only corn. Uh, but everything else was good. The meatballs were kind of tough, but other than that, they had roast beef. They had potato cakes, corn fritters, burgers, um, roast or prime rib, um, all the regular fixins. They had five or six different soups, salad bar. Hey, DHRU24, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Um, yeah, the place is ginormous for crying out loud. Their seating must be in like the 2,000 or at least in 1,000. It's got to be at least in 1,000 seating for that place. It's desserts. I well, there was quite a lot of desserts, just not anything that I was really that looked appetizing to me. But I had filled up. Danny Chambers, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Hey, if you're new to me, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Speaking of that, um, and then come back. This is probably going to be the next one put up on reading. And you may think, well, that's kind of a boring title. And so did I. But it's kind of an interesting book. It's written by a guy named George Brands. And he was a literary critic, a Danish literary critic. Is that Gail Contras? How's it going? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Sorry if I butchered your first name. Please go subscribe to my YouTube channel and come back. But George Brands was a Danish literary critic of the late 19th and early 20th century. Um, and he had a great influence over the direction of literature in not only Danish culture but all over Europe. Um, so it's a pretty good, interesting read. So that's the next one probably coming up as a little blue book. She's Danish, yeah, I know. And I think I'm going to do the first of my big little blue books. These books were also published by uh, E. Hadelman Julius Company. This one is The Amazing Career of the Marquis de Sade, a study of his character and views of the man whose fantastic works gave rise to the word sadism. And it's written by Joseph McCabe. And if you're not familiar with Joseph McCabe, he is the guy that has written a lot of the Little Blue books. And he is one of my favorite authors. And he was at one time a Catholic priest for 12 or 13 years, and then he left the church and became an atheist and was denounced and just went, fuck you. But, yeah. And the interesting thing about it is the the description. Views of the man whose fantastic works. So an ex-Catholic priest is calling the Marquis de Sade a man of fantastic works. Yeah, so this is going to be an interesting one. I don't know much about the Marquis de Sade beyond his, coining of sadism. So it should be interesting. And these two are going to be going up on the YouTube channel probably this weekend. I'm going to at least get on reading, and I'll do a little. I might do. I haven't done any shorts, and I haven't really I've been really kind of struggling with what to do shorts on. So I might do a little short on the writer of this essay on reading, George Brands. He's kind of an interesting character. I looked him up on Wikipedia. Oh, the great and wonderful Wiki. So I'll be doing that. But tonight, right now, we're going to be reading live from, get the little thing out of the way, Christopher Moore's book titled Lamb. And you should go out and read, or go out and buy this book. Is all I'm saying. Just go buy the book. It's a very good book. And if you like what you hear tonight, you should definitely go buy the book. So, there we go. All right. Ooh, that was good stuff. I still have no idea what the name of the concentrate I'm using tonight to elevate my brain. But it's a good one. It came from my local dispensary. All right. What time is it, kids? Let's see. Oh, it's 10:07. All right. So let's get started here. Reading from the Book of Lamb, written by Christopher Moore. And once again, please go buy the book. It is a very good book. And I read the prologue last week, at the end of last week's reading. So we are going to go straight to chapter 1. Part 1. The Boy. No, remember, this is Lamb, the Gospel according to Biff, Christ's boyhood or childhood pal. So, okay, so, part 1, The Boy. God is a comedian playing to an audience that is afraid to laugh. Voltaire. Chapter 1. You think you know how this story's going to end, but you don't. Trust me. I was there. I know. The first time I saw the man who would save the world, he was sitting near the central well in Nazareth with a lizard hanging out of his mouth. Just the tail end and the hind legs were visible on the outside. The head and forelegs were halfway down the hatch. He was 6, like me, and his beard had not come in fully, so he didn't look much like the pictures you've seen of him. His eyes were like dark honey, and they smiled at me out of a mop of blue-black curls that framed his face. There was a light older than Moses in those eyes. "Unclean! Unclean!" I screamed, pointing at the boy so my mother would see that I knew the law. But she ignored me, as did all the other mothers who were filling their jars at the well. The boy took the lizard from his mouth and handed it to his younger brother, who sat beside him in the sand. The younger boy played with the lizard for a while, teasing it until it reared its little head as if to bite. Then he picked up a rock and smashed the creature's head. Bewildered, he pushed the dead lizard around in the sand, and once assured that it wasn't going anywhere on its own, he picked it up and handed it back to his older brother. Into his mouth went the lizard. And before I could accuse, out it came again, squirming and alive, and ready to bite once again. He handed it back to his younger brother, who smote it mightily with the rock, starting or ending the whole process again. I watched the lizard die 3 more times before I said, I want to do that too. The Savior removed the lizard from his mouth and said, which part? By the way, his name was Joshua. Jesus is the Greek translation of the Hebrew word Yeshua, which is Joshua. Christ is not a last name. It's the Greek for Messiah, a Hebrew word meaning anointed. I have no idea what the H in Jesus H. Christ stood for. It's one of the things I should have asked him. Me? Oh, I'm Levi, who is called Biff. No middle name. Joshua was my best friend. The angel says I'm supposed to just sit down and write my story. Forget about what I've seen in this world. But how am I to do that? In the last 3 days, I have seen more people, more images, more wonders than in all my 33 years of living. And the angel asked me to ignore them. Yes, I have been given the gift of tongues. So I see nothing without knowing the word for it. But what good does that do? Did it help in Jerusalem to know that it was a Mercedes that terrified me and sent me diving into a dumpster? Moreover, after Raziel pulled me out and ripping my fingernails back as I struggled to stay hidden, did it help to know that it was a Boeing 747 that made me cower in a ball trying to rock away my own tears and shut out the noise and fire? Am I a little child, afraid of its own shadow? Or did I spend 27 years at the side of the Son of God? On the hill where he pulled me from the dust, the angel said, You will see many strange things. Do not be afraid. You have a holy mission, and I will protect you. Smug bastard. Had I known what he would do to me, I would have hit him again. Even now he lies on the bed across the room, watching pictures move on a screen, eating the sticky sweet called Snickers, while I scratch out my tail on this soft as silk paper that reads Hyatt Regency, St. Louis at the top. Words, words, words. A million words circle in my head like hawks wanting to dive into the page to rend and tear. The only words I want to write. Why me? There were 15 of us. Well, 14 after I hung Judas. So, why me? Joshua always told me not to be afraid, for he would always be with me. Where are you, my friend? Why have you forsaken me? You wouldn't be afraid here. The towers and machines and the shine and stink of this world would not daunt you. Come now. I'll order a pizza from room service. You would like pizza. The servant who brings it is named Jesus, and he's not even a Jew. You always liked irony. Come, Joshua. The angel says you are yet with us. You can hold him down, and I will pound him, and then we will rejoice in pizza. Raziel has been looking at my writing and is insisting that I stop whining and get on with the story. Easy for him to say. He didn't just spend the last 2,000 years buried in the dirt. Nevertheless, he won't let me order pizza until I finish a section. So, here goes. All right, here we go. I was born in Galilee, the town of Nazareth, in the time of Herod the Great. My father, Alpheus, was a stonemason. My mother, Naomi, was plagued by demons. Or at least that's what I told everyone. Joshua seemed to think she was very difficult. My proper name, Levi, came from the brother of Moses, the progenitor of the tribe of priests. My nickname, Biff, comes from our slang word for a smack upside the head, something my mother said I required at least daily from an early age. I grew up under Roman rule, although I didn't see many Romans until I was 10. The Romans mostly stayed in the fortress city of Sepphoris, an hour's walk from Nazareth. That's where Joshua and I saw a Roman soldier murdered. But I'm getting ahead of myself. For now, assume that the soldier is safe and sound and happy, wearing a broom on his head. Most of the people of Nazareth were farmers, growing grapes and olives on the rocky hills outside of town and barley and wheat in the valleys below. There were also herders of goats and sheep whose families lived in town while the men and older boys tended the flocks in the highlands. Our houses were all made of stone, and ours had a stone floor, although many had floors of hard-packed dirt. I was the oldest of 3 sons, so even at the age of 6, I was being prepared to learn my father's trade. My mother taught me spoken lessons, the law, and stories from the Torah in Hebrew, and my father took me to the synagogue to hear the elders read the Bible. Aramaic was my first language, but by the time I was 10, I could speak and read Hebrew as well as most of men. My ability to learn Hebrew and the Torah was spurred on by my friendship with Joshua. For a while, the other boys would be playing around to tease the sheep or kick the Canaanite. Joshua and I played at being rabbis, and he insisted that we stick to the authentic Hebrew for our ceremonies. It was more fun than it sounds, or at least it was until my mother caught us trying to circumcise my little brother Shem with a sharp rock. What a fit she threw! And my argument that Shem needed to renew his covenant with the Lord didn't seem to convince her. She beat me to strips with an olive switch and forbade me to play with Joshua for a month. Did I mention he was besought with demons? She was besought with demons, his mother. Overall, I think it was good for little Shem. He was the only kid I ever knew who could pee around corners. You can make a pretty good living as a beggar with that kind of talent. And he never even thanked me. Brothers. Children see magic because they look for it. When I first met Joshua, I didn't know he was the savior, and neither did he, for that matter. What I knew was that he wasn't afraid. Amid a race of conquered warriors, a people who tried to find pride while cowering before God and Rome, he shone like a bloom in the desert. But maybe only I saw it, because I was looking for it. To everyone else, he seemed just like another child, the same needs and the same chance to die before he was grown. When I told my mother of Joshua's trick with the lizard, she checked me for a fever and sent to me my sleeping mat with only a bowl of broth for supper. I've heard stories about that boy's mother, she said to my father. She claims to have spoken to an angel of the Lord. She told Esther that she had borne the Son of God? And what did you say to Esther? That she should be careful that the Pharisees didn't hear her ravings, or we'd be picking stones for her punishment. Then you should not speak of it again. I know her husband. He is a righteous man. Cursed with an insane girl for a wife. Poor thing, my father said, tearing away a hunk of bread. His hands were as hard as horn, as square as hammers, and as gray as lepers from the limestone he worked with. An embrace from him left scratches on my back that sometimes wept blood. Yet my brothers and I fought to be the first in his arms when he returned from work each evening. The same injuries inflicted in anger would have sent us crying to our mother's skirts. I fell asleep each night, feeling his hands on my back like a shield. Fathers. Do you want to mash some lizards? I asked Joshua when I saw him again. He was drawing in the dirt with a stick, ignoring me. I put my foot on his drawing. Do you know that your mother is mad? My father does that to her, he said sadly without looking up. I sat down next to him. Sometimes my mother makes yipping noises in the night like a wild dog. Is she mad? Joshua asked. She seems fine in the morning. She sings while she makes breakfast. Joshua nodded, satisfied. I guess that madness could pass. We used to live in Egypt, he said. No, you didn't. That's too far. Farther than the temple, even. The temple in Jerusalem was the furthest place I had been as a child. Every spring, my family took the 5-day walk to Jerusalem for the feast of Passover. It seemed to take forever. We lived here. Then we lived in Egypt. Now we live here again, Joshua said. It was a long way. You lie. It takes 40 years to get to Egypt. Not anymore. It's closer. It says in the Torah, my Abba read it to me, the Israelites traveled in the desert for 40 years. The Israelites were lost. For 40 years? I laughed. The Israelites must be stupid. We are the Israelites. We are? Yes. I have to go find my mother, I said. When you come back, let's play Moses and Pharaoh. Pause for hydration. The angel has confided in me that he is going to ask of the Lord if he can become Spider-Man. He watches the television constantly, even when I sleep, and he has become obsessed with the story of the hero who fights demons from the rooftops. The angel says that evil looms larger now than it did in my time, and that calls for greater heroes. The children need heroes, he says. I think he just wants to swing from buildings in tight red jammies. What hero could touch these children anyway, with their machines and medicine and distances made invisible? Raziel not hero weak, and he would trade the sword of God to be a web slinger. In my time, our heroes were few, but they were real. Some of us could even trace our kinship to them. Joshua always played the heroes, David, Joshua, Moses, while I played the evil ones, Pharaoh, Ahab, and Nebuchadnezzar. If I had a shekel for every time I was slain as a Philistine, well, I'd not be riding a camel through the eye of a needle anytime soon. I'll tell you that. As I think back, I see that Joshua was practicing for what he would become. Let my people go, said Joshua as Moses. Okay. You can't just say okay. I can't? No, the Lord has hardened your heart against my demands. Why'd he do that? I don't know, he just did. Let my people go. Nope. I crossed my arms and turned away like someone whose heart is hardened. Behold, as I turn this stick into a snake. Now let my people go. Okay. You can't just say okay. Why? That was a pretty good trick with the stick. But that's not how it goes. Okay. No way, Moses. Your people have to stay. Joshua waved his staff in my face. Behold, I will plague you with frogs. They will fill your house and your bedchamber and get on your stuff. So that's bad. Let my people go, Pharaoh. I sort of like frogs. Dead frogs, Moses threatened. Piles of steaming, stinking dead frogs. Oh, well, in that case, you better take your people and go. I have some sphinxes, and stuff to build anyway. Damn it, Biff! That's not how it goes. I have more plagues for you. I want to be Moses. You can't. Why not? I have the stick. Oh. And so it went. I'm not sure I took to playing the villains as easily as Joshua took to being the heroes. Sometimes we recruited our little brothers to play the more loathsome parts. Joshua's little brothers Judah and James played whole populations, like the Sodomites outside of Lot's door. Send out those 2 angels so that we may know them. I won't do that, I said, playing Lot, a good guy only because Joshua wanted to play the angels. But I have 2 daughters who don't know anyone. You can meet them. Okay, said Judah. I threw open the door and led my imaginary daughters outside so they could know the Sodomites. Pleased to meet you. Charmed, I'm sure. Nice to meet you. That's not how it goes, Joshua shouted. You're supposed to try to break the door down, and then I will smite you blind. Then you destroy our city? James said. Yes. We'd rather meet Lot's daughters. Let my people go, said Judah, who was only 4 and often got his stories confused. He particularly liked the Exodus because he and James got to throw jars of water on me as I led my soldiers across the Red Sea after Moses. That's it, Joshua said. Judah, you're Lot's wife. Go stand over there. Sometimes Judah had to play Lot's wife, no matter what story we were doing. I don't want to be Lot's wife. Be quiet. Pillars of salt can't talk. I don't want to be a girl. Our brothers always played the female parts. I had no sisters to torment, and Joshua's only sister at the time, Elizabeth, was still a baby. That was before we met Magdalene. The Magdalene changed everything. After I overheard my parents talking about Joshua's mother's madness, I often watched her, looking for signs. But she seemed to go about her duties like all the other mothers, tending to the little ones, working in the garden, fetching water, and preparing food. There was no sign of going about on all 4s or foaming at the mouth as I had expected. She was younger than many of the mothers, and much younger than her husband, Joseph, who was an old man by the standards of our time. Joshua said that Joseph wasn't his real father, but he wouldn't say who his father was. When the subject come up, and Mary was in earshot, she would call to Josh, then put her fingers on her lips and signal silence. Now is not the time, Joshua. Biff would not understand. Just hearing her say my name made my heart leap. Early on, I developed a little boy love for Joshua's mother that sent me into fantasies of marriage and family and future. Your father's old, huh, Josh? Not too old. When he dies, will your mother marry his brother? My father has no brothers. Why? No reason. What would you think if your father was shorter than you? He isn't. But when your father dies, your mother could marry someone shorter than you, and he would be your father. You would have to do what he says. My father will never die. He is eternal. So you say. But I think that when I'm a man and your father dies, I will take your mother as my wife. Joshua made a face now, as if he had bitten into an unripe fig. Don't say that, Biff. I don't mind that she's mad. I like her blue cloak and her smile. I'll be a good father. I'll teach you how to be a stonemason. And I'll only beat you when you're a snot. I would rather play with lepers than listen to this. Joshua began to walk away. Wait! Be nice to your father, Joshua Bar Biff. My own father used my full name like this when he was trying to make a point. It is not the word of Moses that you must honor me. I'm sorry. Is it not the word of Moses that you must honor me? Little Joshua spun on his heel. My name is not Joshua Bar Biff, and it is not Joshua Bar Joseph either. It is Joshua Bar Jehovah. I looked around, hoping that no one had heard him. I didn't want my only son. I planned to sell Judith and James into slavery, to be stoned to death for uttering the name of God in vain. Don't say that again, Josh. I won't marry your mother. No, you won't. I'm sorry. I forgive you. She will make an excellent concubine. Don't let anyone tell you that the Prince of Peace never struck anyone. In those early days, before he had become who he would be, Joshua smoked me in the nose more than once. That was the first time. Mary would stay my one true love until I saw Magdalene. If the people of Nazareth thought Joshua's mother was mad, there was little said of it out of respect for her husband, Joseph. He was wise in the law, the prophets, and the Psalms, and there were few wives in Nazareth who didn't serve supper in one of his smooth olive wood bowls. He was fair, strong, and wise. People said that he had once been an Essene, one of the dour, ascetic Jews who kept to themselves, never married or cut their hair. But he did not congregate with them, and unlike them, he still had the ability to smile. Hey, Mama Sunshine, how are you, hon? Well, that is the best compliment, that if you fall asleep to me reading. Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How is your head? Okay. In those early years, I saw him very little, as he was always in Sepphoris, building structures for the Romans and the Greeks and the landed Jews of the city. But every year, as the Feast of First approached, Joseph would stop his work in the fortress city and stay home, carving bowls and spoons to give to the temple. During the Feast of First, it was the tradition to give first lambs, first grain, and first fruits to the priests of the temple. Even first sons born during the year were dedicated to the temple, either by promising them for labor when they were older, or by a gift of money. Craftsmen, like my father and Joseph, would give things that they made. And in some years, my father fashioned mortars and pestles or grinding stones for the tribute, while in others, he gave tithes of coins. Some people made the pilgrimage to Jerusalem for this feast, but since it fell only 7 weeks after Passover, my families could not afford to make the pilgrimage, and the gifts went to our simple village synagogue. During the weeks leading up to the feast, Joseph sat outside of his house in the shade of an awning he had made, worrying the gnarled olive wood with adze and chisel, while Joshua and I played at his feet. He wore the single-piece tunic that we all wore, a rectangle of fabric with a neck hole in the middle, belted with a sash so that the sleeves fell at the elbows and the hem fell to the knees. Perhaps this year I should give the temple my first son, eh, Joshua? Wouldn't you like to clean the altar after the sacrifices? He grinned to himself without looking up from his work. I owe them a first son, you know. We were in Egypt at the first feast when you were born. The idea of coming in contact with blood clearly terrified Joshua, as it would any Jewish boy. Give them James, Abba. He is your first son. Joshua shot a glance my way to see if I had reacted. I had, but it was because I was considering my own status as a first son, hoping that my father wasn't thinking about the same lines. James is a second son. The priests don't want second sons. It will have to be you. Joshua looked at me before he answered, then back at his father. Then he smiled. But Abba, if you die, who will take care of mother if I am at the temple? Someone will look after her, I said. I'm sure of that. I will not die for a long time, Joshua tugged at his gray beard. My beard goes white, but there's a lot of life in me yet. Don't be so sure, Abba, Joshua said. Joseph dropped the bowl he was working on and stared into his hands. Run along and play, you two, he said, his voice little more than a whisper. Joshua stood and walked away. I wanted to throw my arms around the old man, for I had never seen a grown man afraid before, and it frightened me too. Can I help? I said, pointing to the half-finished bowl that lay in Joseph's lap. You go with Joshua. He needs a friend to teach him to be human. Then I can teach him to be a man. Hey, Ray, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? I'm glad it's soothing for you to listen to. That makes me very happy to hear. All right, that's the end of chapter 1. What's our time like? I have a screen here behind me. 10:36. All right, we're going to start into chapter 2. How far have I read ahead? Okay. Yeah, we might get chapter 2 finished because it's not that big of a chapter in the time we have left. So, all right, let me hydrate. And then let me medicate. Now, I've been mainly smoking flower. Up to this point before I came on camera. And that is powder puff, I believe it is. And it is 30-some% THC. THCA. Things now are labeled THCA. When it used to be just THC. Okay, here we go. Chapter 2. The angel wants me to convey more of Joshua's grace. Grace? I'm trying to write about a 6-year-old, for Christ's sake. How much grace could he have? It's not like Joshua walked around professing that he was the son of God every day of the week. He was a pretty normal kid for the most part. There was the trick he did with the lizards, and once we found a dead meadowlark, and he brought it back to life. And there was the time when we were 8 when he healed his brother Judah's fractured skull after a game of Stone the Adulteress got out of hand. Judah could never get the knack of being an adulteress. He'd stand there stiff as Lot's wife. You can't do that. An adulteress has to be wily and nimble-footed. The miracles Joshua performed were small and quiet, as miracles tend to be, once you get used to them. But trouble came from the miracles that happened around him, without his volition. As it were, bread and serpents came to mind. It was a few days before the Passover feast, and many of the families of Nazareth were not making the pilgrimage to Jerusalem that year. There had been little rain through our winter season, so it was going to be a hard year. Many farmers could not afford the time away from their fields to travel to and from the holy city. My father and Joshua's were both working in Sepphoris, and the Romans wouldn't give them time off work beyond the actual feast days. My mother had been making the unleavened bread when I came in from playing in the square. She held a dozen sheets of the flatbread before her, and she looked as if she was going to dash it to the floor any second. Biff, where is your friend Joshua? My little brothers grinned at me from behind her skirts. At home, I suppose. I just left him. What have you boys been doing? Nothing. I tried to remember if I'd done anything that should make her this angry, but nothing came to mind. It was a rare day, and I'd made no trouble. Both my little brothers were unscathed as far as I knew. What have you done to cause this? She held out a sheet of the flatbread, and there, in crisp brown relief on the golden crust, was the image of my friend Joshua's face. She snatched up another sheet of bread, and there again was my friend Josh. Graven images. big sin. Josh was smiling. Mother frowned on smiling. Well, do I need to go to Joshua's house and ask his poor, insane mother? I did this. I put Joshua's face on the bread. I just hoped that she didn't ask me how I had done it. Your father will punish you when he comes home this evening. Now go. Get out of here. I could hear my little brothers giggling as I slunk out the door. But once outside, things worsened. Women were coming away from their baking stones, and each held a sheet of unleavened bread, and each was muttering some variation of, "Hey, there's a kid on my bread." I ran to Joshua's house and stormed in without knocking. Joshua and his brothers were at the table eating. Mary was nursing Joshua's newest, his little sister, Miriam. "You are in big trouble," I whispered in Joshua's ear with enough force to blow out an eardrum. Joshua held out the flatbread he was eating and grinned, just like the face on his bread. "It's a miracle." "Tastes good, too," said James, crunching a corner off of his brother's head. "It's all over town, Joshua. Not just your house. Everyone's bread has your face on it." "He is truly the Son of God," Mary said with a beatific smile. "Oh, geez, Mother," James said. "Yeah, geez, Mom," said Judah. "His mug is all over the Passover feast. We have to do something." They didn't seem to get the gravity of the situation. I was already in trouble, and my mother didn't even suspect anything supernatural. "We have to cut your hair." "What?" "We cannot cut his hair," Mary said. She has always let Joshua wear his hair long, like in a scene, saying that that he was a Nazarite like Samson. It was just another reason why many of the townspeople thought her mad. The rest of us wore our hair cut short, like the Greeks, who had ruled our country since the time of Alexander and the Romans after them. If we cut his hair, he looks like the rest of us. We can say it's someone else on the bread. "Moses," Mary said. "Young Moses." "Yes." "I'll get a knife." "James, Judah, come with me," I said. "We have to tell the town that the face of Moses has come to visit us for the Passover feast." Mary pulled Miriam from her breast, bent and kissed me on the forehead. "You're a good friend, Biff." I almost melted in my sandals, but I caught Joshua frowning at me. "It's not the truth," he said. "It will keep the Pharisees from judging you." "I'm not afraid of them," said the 9-year-old. "I didn't do this to the bread." "Then why take the blame and the punishment for it?" "I don't know. Seems like I should, doesn't it?" "Sit still so your mother can cut your hair." I dashed out the door, Judah and James on my heels, the three of us bleeding like spring lambs. "Behold! Moses has put his face on the bread of Passover. Passover. Behold! Miracles, she kissed me. Holy Moses on a matzo, she kissed me. The miracle of the serpent. It was an omen in a way, although I can only say that because of what happened between Joshua and the Pharisees later on. At the time, Joshua thought it was the fulfillment of a prophecy, or that's how we tried to sell it to his mother and father. It was late summer, and we were playing in a wheat field outside of town when Joshua found the nest of vipers. "A nest of vipers," Joshua shouted. The wheat was so tall I couldn't see where he was calling from. "A pox on your family," I replied. "No, there's a nest of vipers over here, really." "Oh, I thought you were taunting me. Sorry, a pox off your family. Come see." I crashed through the wheat to find Joshua standing by a pile of stones a farmer had used to mark the boundary of his field. I screamed and backpedaled so quickly that I lost my balance and fell. A knot of snakes writhed at Joshua's feet. skating over his sandals and wrapping themselves around his ankles. Joshua got away from there. Joshua, get away from there. They won't hurt me. It says so in Isaiah. Just in case they haven't read the prophets. Joshua stepped aside, sending the snake scattering, and there, behind him, was the biggest cobra I had ever seen. It reared up until it was taller than my friend, spreading a hood like a cloak. Run, Joshua! He smiled. I'm going to call her Sarah, after Abraham's wife. Those are her children. No kidding? Say goodbye now, Joshua. I want to show Mother. She loves prophecy. With that, he was off toward the village, the giant serpent following him like a shadow. The baby snake stayed in the nest, and I backed slowly away from running after my friend. I once brought a frog home, hoping to keep him as a pet. Not a large frog, a one-handed frog, quiet and well-mannered. My mother made me release him, then cleanse myself in the immersion pool, the mikveh, at the synagogue. Still, she wouldn't let me in the house until after sunset because I was unclean. Joshua led a 14-foot cobra into his house, and his mother squealed with joy. My mother never squealed. Mary slung the baby on her hip, kneeled in front of her son, and quoted Isaiah. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf, and the young lion, and the, what is that? And the fatling, together. A little child shall lead them, and the cow and the bear shall feed. Their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. James, Judah, and Elizabeth cowered in the corner. Too frightened to cry, I stood outside the doorway watching. The snake swayed behind Joshua as if preparing to strike. Her name is Sarah. They were cobras, not asp, I said. A whole pile of cobras. Can we keep her? Joshua asked. I'll catch rats for her and make a bed for her next to Elizabeth's. Definitely not asps. I'd know an asp if I saw one. Probably not a cockatrice either. I'd say a cobra. Actually, I didn't know what an asp from a hole in the ground. Shush, Biff, Mary said. My heart broke with the harshness of my love's voice. Just then, Joseph rounded the corner and went through the door before I could catch him. No worry. He was back outside in an instant. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat! I checked to see if Joseph's heart had failed, having quickly decided that once Mary and I were married, the snake would have to go, or at least sleep outside. But the burly carpenter seemed only shaken, and a little dusty from his backward dive through the door. Not an asp, right? I asked. Asps are more small to fit the breast of Egyptian queens, right? Joseph ignored me. Back away slowly, son. I'll get a knife from my workshop. She won't hurt us, Joshua said. Her name is Sarah. She's from Isaiah. It is in the prophecy, Joseph, Mary said. I could see Joseph searching his memory for the passage. Although only a layman, he knew his scriptures as well as anyone. I don't remember the part about Sarah. I don't think it's a prophecy, I offered. It says asp, and this is definitely not an asp. I'd say she's going to bite Joshua's ass off if you don't grab her, Joseph. Guy has to try. Can I keep her? Joshua asked. Joseph had regained his composure by now. Evidently, once you accept that your wife slept with God, extraordinary events seem sort of out commonplace. Take her back where you found her, Joseph, or Joshua. The prophecy has been fulfilled now. But I want to keep her. No, Joshua. Or, God damn it. Yeah, no, Joshua. You're not the boss of me. I suspected that Joseph had heard that before. Just so, he said. Please take Sarah back where you found her. Joshua stormed out of the house, his snake following close behind. Joseph and I gave them a wide berth. Try not to let anyone see you, Joseph said. They won't understand. He was right, of course. On our way out of the village, we ran into a gang of older boys led by Jachin, the son of Iban the Pharisee. They did not understand. There were perhaps a dozen Pharisees in Nazareth, learned men, working-class teachers, who spent much of their time at the synagogue debating the law. They were often hired as judges and scribes, and this gave them great influence over the people of the village. So much influence, in fact, that the Romans often used them as mouthpieces to our people. With influence comes power, with power, abuse. Jachin was the only son of a Pharisee. He was the only 2 years older than Joshua and me, but he was well on his way to mastering cruelty. If there is a single joy in having anyone you have ever known 2,000 years dead, it was Jachin. Oh, it is that Jachin is one of them. May his fat crackle in the fires of hell for eternity. Joshua taught us that we should not hate, a lesson that I was never able to master, along with geometry. Blame Jachin for the former, Euclid for the latter. Joshua ran behind the houses and shops of the village, the snake behind him by 10 steps, and me behind her 10 steps more. As he rounded the corner by the smith's shop, Joshua ran into Jachin, knocking him to the ground. You idiot! Jachin shouted, rising and dusting himself off. His 3 friends laughed, and he spun on them like an angry tiger. This one needs to have his face washed in dung. Hold him. The boys turned their focus on Joshua. 2 grabbed his arms, while the 3rd punched him in the stomach. Jachin turned to look for a pile to rub Joshua's face in. Sarah slithered round the corner and reared up behind Joshua, spreading her glorious hood wide above our heads. Hey, I called as I rounded the corner. You guys think this is an asp? My fear of the snake had changed into a sort of wary affection. She seemed to be smiling. I know I was. Sarah swayed from side to side like a wheat stalk in the wind. The boys dropped Joshua's arms and ran to Jachin, who had turned and slowly backed away. Joshua was talking about asps, I continued, but I have to say that this here is a cobra. Joshua was bent over, still trying to catch his breath, but he looked back at me and grinned. Of course, I'm not the son of a Pharisee, but he's in league with a serpent, Jachin screamed. He consorts with demons. Demons, the other boy shouted, trying to crowd behind their fat friend. I will tell my father of this, and you'll be stoned. A voice from behind Jachin said, What is all this shouting? And a sweet voice it was. Not my voice. She came out of the house by the smith shop. Her skin shone like copper, and she had the light blue eyes of the northern desert people. Wisps of reddish-brown hair showed on the edges of her purple shawl. She couldn't have been more than 9 or 10, but there was something very old in her eyes. I stopped breathing when I saw her. Jachin puffed up like a toad. Stay back! These 2 are consorting with a demon. I will tell the elders, and they will be judged. She spit at his feet. I have never seen a girl spit before. It was charming. It looks like a cobra to me. See? See there? I told you. She walked up to Sarah as if she were approaching a fig tree, looking for fruit. Not a hint of fear, only interest. You think this is a demon? she said, without looking back at Jackin. Won't you be embarrassed when the elders find that you mistook a common snake of the field for a demon? It is a demon. The girl reached her hand up, and the snake made as if to strike, then lowered its head until its forked tongue was brushing the girl's fingers. This is definitely a cobra, little boy. These two were probably leading it back to the fields where it would help the farmers by eating rats. Yep, that's what we were doing, I said. Absolutely, Joshua said. The girl turned to Jackin and his friends. A demon? Jackin stomped like an angry donkey. You are in league with them. Don't be silly. My family has only just arrived from Magdala. Only arrived from Magdala. I've never seen these two before, but it's obvious what they were doing. We do it all the time in Magdala, but then this is a backwater village. We do it here too, Jackin said. These two make trouble. Trouble, his friend said. Why don't we let them get on with what they were doing? Jackin, his eyes bouncing from the girl to the snake to the girl again, began to lead his friends away. I will deal with you two another time. As soon as they were around the corner, the girl jumped back from the snake and ran toward the door of her house. Wait, Joshua called. I have to go. What's your name? I'm Mary of Magdala, daughter of Isaac, she said. Call me Maggie. Come with us, Maggie. I can't. I have to go. Why? Because I've peed myself. She disappeared through the door. Miracles. Once we were back in the wheat field, Sarah headed for her den. We watched from a distance as she slid down the hole. Josh, how did you do that? I have no idea. Is this kind of thing going to keep happening? Probably. We're going to get into a lot of trouble, aren't we? What am I, a prophet? I ask you first. Joshua stared into the sky like a man in a trance. Did you see her? She's afraid of nothing. She's a giant snake. What's to be afraid of? Joshua frowned. Don't pretend to be simple, Biff. We were saved by a serpent and a girl. I don't know what to think about that. If I think about it at all, it just happened. Nothing happens but by God's will, Joshua said. It doesn't fit with the testament of Moses. Maybe it's a New Testament, I said. You aren't pretending, are you? Joshua said. You really are simple. I think she likes you better than she likes me, I said. Snake? Right. I'm the simple one. Hydrate, kids. I don't know if now, having lived and died the life of a man, I can write about a little boy. I can write about little boy love. But remembering it now, it seems the clearest pain I've known. Love without desire or conditions or limits. A pure and radiant glow in the heart that could make me giddy and sad and glorious all at once. Where does it go? Why, in all their experiments, did the Magi never try to capture that purity in a bottle? Perhaps they couldn't. Perhaps it is lost to us when we become sexual creatures and no magic can bring it back. Perhaps I only remember it because I spent so long trying to understand the love that Joshua felt for everyone. In the East, they taught us that all suffering comes from desire, and that rough beasts would stalk me through my life. But on that afternoon, and for a long time after, I touched grace. At night, I would lie awake listening to my brother's breathing against the silence of the house, and in my mind's eye, I could see her eyes like blue fire in the dark. Exquisite torture. I wonder now if Joshua didn't make her whole life like that. Maggie, she was the strongest of us all. Hydrate. After the miracles of the serpent, Joshua and I made up excuses to pass by the smith shop, where we might run into Maggie. Every morning we would rise early and go to Joseph, volunteering to run to the smith for some nails or the repair of a tool. Poor Joseph took this as an enthusiasm for carpentry. "Would you boys like to come to Sepphoris with me tomorrow?" Joseph asked us one day, when we were badgering him about fetching nails. "Biff, would your father let you start learning to work the work of a carpenter?" I was mortified. At 10, a boy was expected to start learning his father's trade, but that was a year away. Forever when you're 9. I'm still thinking about what I will do when I grow up, I said. My own father had made a similar offer to Joshua the day before. "So you won't be becoming a stone cutter?" I was thinking about becoming the village idiot if my father will allow it. "He has a God-given talent," Joshua said. "I've been talking to Bartholomew, the idiot," I said. "He's going to teach me to fling my own dung and run headlong into walls." Joseph scowled at me. "Perhaps you two are yet too young. Next year." "Yes," Joshua said, "next year." "May we go now, Joseph? Biff is meeting Bartholomew for his lesson." Joseph nodded, and we were off before he inflicted more kindness upon us. We actually had befriended Bartholomew, the village idiot. He was foul and drooled a lot, but he was large and offered some protection against Jackin and his bullies, but also spent most of his time begging near the town square, where the women came to fetch water from the well. From time to time, he caught a glimpse of Maggie, or we caught a glimpse of Maggie as she passed, a water jar balanced on her head. "You know, we're going to have to start working soon," Joshua said. "I won't see you once I'm working with my father." "Joshua, look around you. Do you see any trees?" "No." "And the trees we do have, olive trees, twisted, gnarled, knotty things, right?" "Right. But you're going to be a carpenter like your father." "There's a chance of it." "One word, Josh. Rocks." "Rocks?" "Look around. Rocks as far as the eye can see. Galilee is nothing but rocks, dirt, and more rocks. Be a stonemason like me and my father. We can build cities for the Romans. Actually, I was thinking about saving mankind." "Oh, forget that nonsense, Josh. Rocks, I tell you." All right, that's into chapter 2. And that, it's 11:04. Look at that. I ran over by 4 minutes. And that's the end of my reading of Lamb, the gospel according to Biff, Christ's childhood pile, written by Christopher Moore. And I highly recommend you go out and buy this book. I think it's going to be a good read, guys. I really do. I like it so far. We have just caught up to where I have read so far in the book. So, yeah, I like it. It's going to be a good read, I believe. And don't forget, this is the book coming up on the YouTube channel, Reading Little Blue Books. And also, the first big Little Blue book I will be doing is The Amazing Career of the Marquis de Sade, a study of the character and views of the man whose fantastic works gave rise to the word sadism. I'm glad, dude, that you think. Have you guys read any of the other books by Christopher Moore? I mean, has anyone read his other ones? Because I'm highly interested in possibly picking up his other books to read. If this one is written as good as it seems to be so far. I may have to investigate his other books. I like his writing style. But yeah, so that's what's coming up, guys. Thanks for listening to me. I greatly appreciate you guys so much. You just do not understand how much I love you guys for listening to me read. I am going to jump off here, and I'm going to make some popcorn because I'm having a popcorn craving. All right, guys. Love and appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next Thursday. So from now on, Thursday. I highly recommend Fool. Okay. Oh, you have read several. Nice, dude. I will definitely check that out. All right, guys. Peace out with sauerkraut. See you next Thursday.